Opedare, a devout woman of God, wife, mother, and entrepreneur. A God-fearing woman who has devoted her time to ensuring that God's message is used to empower everyone, but most especially women. With a strong belief in the importance of women empowering women and educating each other through our life experiences, she is the founder of Women's Forum, Let's Be Real, a forum for women to work through issues and set and accomplish goals together. Held every second Friday of every month at 6 Elton Road, Lee Green, London. Keep up with Let's Be Real here on PRZ-FM every Tuesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Let's Be Real on PRZ Radio 109.2 FM. My name is Jummy Opedare. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in every Tuesday at this time, and we're so privileged to bring this program to you wherever you are. All our listeners all over the world, we are so grateful. We want to say massive thank you unto you, and thank you for all the feedbacks that we have received, your questions, your suggestions. We are so grateful. Please don't forget that you can continue to email us on letsbelay@przfm.com, letsbelay@przfm.com. If you have any specific topic that you want us to bring on air, we'll be glad to receive your email. God bless you. Thank you so much. As I told you earlier in the advert that tonight is going to be an episode not to be missed, I've got in the studio with me my very own doctors, Dr. Kenny and Dr. Habib. Welcome on to this show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what are we going to talk about? Some people might be thinking it's 8 hour. It's not 8 hour today. It's social hour today. It's social hour today, and we want to talk about what men are looking for when they are looking for a wife. We want to talk about wifey material. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Wifey material.
Yeah.
So, this is such a secret to know the mind of men, because some ladies don't understand what they will do right. Some people overreact when they meet potential husbands. Some people do not know exactly what is in the mind of a man when they meet them, and doing that they might have missed out on great opportunities. All the same, we are saying that some men doesn't even know what women are looking for as well, but because it's the man that will marry the woman, so we have to deal with this one first. So I want to ask this my young couples. They have searched, they have found, and they have seen around them, and they have discussed among them before they decided to pick their wifey material, which they are really enjoying their relationship now. Thank God for that. So I want to ask for their opinion. So please fasten your seatbelt and listen. If you have any question, don't forget that you can still email it to us, and we will bring it back on air and answer your questions. So, Dr. Kenny, Dr. Habib, who is going to answer my question first? What do guys look for when they are looking for a wife?
Okay, well, I think I'll start, seeing as I taught Habib everything that he knows about this topic. The first thing I would want to say is that I wouldn't feel confident in discussing this topic if I didn't feel that I had struck gold in my search for a wife. So that is my first disclaimer out of here. So, a lot of the positive qualities I feel that my wife has. I think it's an interesting one, because what men are looking for and what men should be looking for might not always be the same things. The first thing that I think is important is a compatibility between the man and the woman, and that often starts off first of all with a physical attraction. So obviously one thing that men are looking for in a wife is someone who looks after themselves in a physical way. I would say is very important. I think that that doesn't always mean that you have to put 10 layers of makeup. That might put some people off. But, making yourself look good is something that I think men appreciate. So that's one of the things I'll start off with.
Absolutely.
That's going to be very hard to beat. So I agree as well. First of all, I think I would not be in a position to answer this question if I didn't think the same thing of my wife as well. I think first and foremost as well, I think it goes without saying, obviously, God should always be present there. So in terms of talking practically, one thing that Kaina said was compatibility. I think men look for different things. So what may be appealing to one guy may be different for another. But one thing I know that men cherish above most things is someone who has respect. I think it's easy to see not just a woman but any person who has respect. You can tell with their interaction with friends, families, their parents, siblings, etc. So I think one thing which for me is if I were to be looking or advising someone to be looking, I would say look out for something such as respect, amongst many other things. And I think the list, I think you'd agree with me, the list is endless. But someone who presents themselves, I definitely agree with, because you know we see we're in this world and we see people. I think something that maybe isn't so tangible is that respect. So that's something that I would I looked for, and I would advise anyone to look for when looking for a wife as well.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Practically speaking, that respect will come out as, when you're in a group setting, and the woman, maybe if you're just talking and maybe the woman will say, "Oh, you shut up," or "Sit down there," or, talk to you in a way that is derogatory, that kind of thing would really drive, guys. I'm not saying that the men should expect to be lauded, but, that respect, it should be reciprocal, but, it's something that men do look for.
Honestly,
I think that's important.
I do agree with you, because I don't know where I was listening to something this week, and they said the only thing for a man to love the wife, you just need to respect them. Respect.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, act it. Start to act it so that it can become part of it.
Yeah.
Some people are so disrespectful. They are disrespectful to their friends. They are disrespectful to their partners, and they think it's all right.
Yeah.
They don't know when they are so disrespectful. They don't know it's something. But I don't know, if you are the kind of girl that is so disrespectful, you might not know, but somebody would have told you before that, why are you disrespecting me? If that person tells you that you are disrespecting them, you better watch it.
Yes.
That means you disrespect most people around you. Because if you want people to respect you, you have to respect, especially men, you have to respect them. Respect them, you get anything from them.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Yeah, I think the other thing that maybe men don't always say, but is actually very true, is that they're hoping that whoever they find is not someone that has had too much adventurous sort of lifestyle in the past. So one that their friends will say, "Oh, that girl, the one that this person has been with, or the other person has been with," obviously everyone has a past, and that should not always count against you. But someone who has carried themselves up to the stage in which they've met the man in a way that is ideal or proper is a good quality to have. Not everyone has that, but if you've had that, that is something that is highly cherished, I would say.
Usually, if a woman has carried herself all up and down, and will be fortunate to find a good man, will be in a sympathetic situation. That is, you will be in a situation that the person is sober or is in need, or not that a man will just decide that, that's the kind of woman.
I think
except
so.
there is a kind of repentance, remorse, or change in way of life, and the person will not mind your past. But if you are still in such a situation, it's not so attractive. And
it's unfair to say, because some men can be notorious with their past as well, but even the ones that have been really notorious, they still discriminate against the women that have been adventurous
even
in
the
past.
Wow, that's fantastic. So we are saying that a woman should be look after herself, look attractive. You don't want somebody that looks dirty, doesn't have personal hygiene. A woman speak and you are thinking of moving 3 steps backwards. It can also be a man as well moving 3 steps backwards. The person will not come back. So, and somebody you are compatible with, you have to be talking and know that you can stand each other. So that's what men are looking for. Not that you say this and the person say, you say hey, the person say why. Always.
But also someone who will be a partner to them, someone who they can see themselves growing together, and building themselves, both of them together, and also eventually, for most people, being the mother of their children, and also someone who helps in building the home as well. So if you can't see someone as someone who could be a good mother as well, then that can put you off as well. And for many people, they're looking at for those who are fortunate, who have had good mothers or experiences of good women, they're looking for those similar qualities in the women that they're getting married to, or they're thinking about getting married to, or they want to even engage in a relationship with as well. And there's a difference between just wanting to get into a relationship for relationship's sake, or wanting to just have fun, and what we're talking about, the person you want to spend your life with and be married to potentially.
True. That's fantastic. Do you have anything to add?
I was going to add to what Kenny just said as well. One step further, I think men that may have even experienced relationships in a negative way with women may also look what not to look for. For example, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but if, for example, someone has had a negative experience, maybe with their mother, with their sister, and obviously I'm not limiting it to just females, but this topic is about finding a good wife. So if they've had negative experiences, the same way you would look to look for someone you've had good experiences, you would look to avoid certain things which are in a negative capacity as well.
That's true. That's very, very key, because you don't know why that person is retrieving, stepping back, because they are seeing something
that they may have experienced in the past or something like that.
Family or something like that. So thank you so much. So these are the things. The list is endless. As we said earlier. So these are the things they are looking for. But as the guys are looking for all these qualities from a woman, what are the things that they should avoid to look for?
I think that's another endless list. Endless list as well.
If you want to look at everything, you might not get one. You might be looking and looking.
Yeah.
What are the things that you just have to close your eyes about?
I think obviously the opposite of what we've said previously will make sense, or someone who's disrespectful. But just to kind of move away from what's been said already, I think someone who is too I don't know what the word for it is. Too available, maybe. Someone who is too out there. So we may have touched it a bit earlier. So someone who feels she has to be at every party, at every function. She has to be the loudest in the room. She has to draw the most attention. To me, you're looking for a Facebook relationship. You're not looking for an actual relationship, in my opinion. So sometimes I think being a bit too loud or a bit too out there, for me personally, is a negative thing. Some people may like that, and I don't know if I'm being neutral there or being a bit too close to home, but I would say being too out there, I think, is a negative thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one thing that can be a turn off to men is a woman that is too eager for the relationship or for marriage or something like that. Someone that is like in your face, who is too forward. And there's a part of most guys, I would say, that enjoys the chase and the success of wooing a woman. And so the women that have made it too easy and straight away say, yes, I'm in love with you, that can just just in the way that I feel some women don't like guys that are too nice and too kind and too easy to roll over. I think guys don't always like when a woman is too easily available, and all you have to do is to say hello and they're already smiling and blushing and everything. And they still
that is very, very common. You know what I always tell the boys around me? I said, when a girl makes herself too available, they are not wife material. Just run away. They want to put you into trouble. They want to put you into trouble, and in most cases that's what happens. They just throw themselves around men by the time you know it, they will put you into trouble. So I will agree. I will start that. Just run
I mean,
away.
also
Flee all appearances of it.
the women who are clearly in that zone of they just want to get married, and you just get that feeling that is what they want, they're interested in.
At times, do they want to get married?
Or
I
they want the wedding.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. A
They
lot
don't
of
even understand what marriage
a lot of women want to have a wedding, and then that's it, because they want to be on Bella Niger or Instagram or whatever it is, and they, the husband is just the attaché to the actual event, and after that, well, good luck to the marriage, unfortunately. So yes, that's definitely someone too eager for me.
Well, what about the person that is already hinting on what type of ring that you should get them?
Well, I think we have to strike a balance. How if she's saying that and then she's asking you what your surname is, that there's a problem. There's a problem. But if you've been together for some time, and you're both serious and you're both in a place where you're ready to go forward, then why not? I think it's in a subtle way help the guy. I don't know how many guys can tell you the clarity and shape and everything about a ring. But just not too soon. Find out his favorite color first, and then take it.
and then tell them what kind of ring you like.
So I believe that some girls are listening to us now. If you have been throwing your weight about showing, it's not attractive to men. It's not. I was listening to another message today that said some people just gallivate about walking up and down, up and down, up and down to show off to men. They just see you as nuisance. Yeah. Or this is a easy pick.
Yeah.
Wrong people will be attracted to you.
Yeah.
And then they will use you and dump you. And now you say you are disappointed. Don't let us be too cheap. Ladies, don't let us be too cheap. Because gold is very hard to get.
Exactly.
So I'm not saying that you should put up a bold face, or when when the spirit leads you, still be gentle. Not you that God told me you are my husband. That kind of a thing. The respect the man we have for you will be reduced. If you say we are wrong, you can email it to us and let us know your own view about it. Thank you so much. So men should avoid women that are too eager, women that are very loud when they are not that kind of person. So you need to check what matches your own type of person before you say. Don't let anybody force you into a marriage that will not last. That's why we are discussing this. This is lesbian. We want every marriage to stay. We want it to stand, so that you have done your due diligence, you have done your homework, and you are not forced into it, and then you want to force out of it. Most marriages that are forced into, they get out as soon as they get in. And we don't want that to happen. So now we're talking about what wifey material. We're talking about what men are looking for, and what should, many ladies out there are looking for men, good men. Some of them, not that they don't want to marry, but they've not found the real men. I don't know, maybe they are not attractive to the real men, or maybe the real men are not around them. What should they avoid when they are looking for a life partner?
So what should the
ladies avoid?
What should the ladies avoid doing?
Yeah, what they should avoid doing.
I think one thing that can be difficult that not many people talk about is being wary of men who are almost only eager on the physical aspects of relationships. People who are trying to push you into something that you're not keen on, or that makes you uncomfortable. Because I think some men are just looking for the chase, for that to be able to say that, yes, I've done what I wanted to do with this woman, and then they get disinterested. And if it's that kind of man that, only if we are intimate can this relationship work, then that can be a red flag for me. And I think there are many women who are pressured into that sort of position, which is unfair. So I think that is a red flag if that seems to be the focus of the relationship. From a Christian point of view, then, that is something that is unnecessary, and, the aim is to get into marriage without that. That is the ideal. But obviously not everyone is in that position. But I just feel that if you feel, for a woman, if you're feeling too pressured and that seems to be all that the guy is interested in, just be wary, because once he's gotten that, what will he want after?
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's a good one. As soon as they get you, you become.
Yeah.
That's it. Something I I definitely agree with that. Something else I would add is undue pressure as well. And you can never stop people pressuring you. It's how you respond to that pressure. And sometimes that pressure could be externally. It could be friends, for example. It could be your friends are getting married, or you feel you're getting old. Sometimes it can be parents. In a lot of cultures, there's a certain expectation to be married at a certain time. Sometimes it can even be pressure on yourself. You feel, when you were 16, you told yourself by the time you're 23, you're going to be married with 2 houses, 4 kids, and 2 cars. And I think you don't pressure yourself, because a lot of the time when you do pressure yourself, that's when mistakes happen.
No, that is fair. But if I were to play devil's advocate, if you're a woman, you've gotten to the age of 30, you've never even gone on a date, or you've never even had a boyfriend or had some sort of conversation with a guy, could there not be something wrong with you as a woman? After a while, some people feel they have to put pressure on women as they get older. There is a clock at the end of the day.
I think I agree with that. I think, and that's why I said undue pressure, because how you respond to it. I think Pastor Jummy said something some time ago in one of these sessions where you mentioned a broken relationship or a broken courtship is better than a broken marriage.
Yeah.
That's something that even when I've spoken to you personally, that you've mentioned to me some years ago, and I've always remembered it. I would advise any girl, get married at 35 and live the rest of the 60 years of your life, than get married at 25 and then break up by 30. There's no right way of doing it. There's no course on marriage. But just it's a case of just be wary that just because a guy is interested in you and you're 32 and you've done your degree and that's the next thing, it doesn't mean he necessarily is the one per se. He may be, but just don't put undue pressure on yourself. Especially because you'll start doing things faster than usual, and red flags, for example, like you mentioned, you may turn a blind eye to. So I think it's just good to take a step back, discuss with some people, neutral parties, families, any spiritual leaders, for example, and then maybe go ahead once you're sure at that point.
Someone in one of our groups has said that women should avoid broke men. I'm not going to say who it is. I just want to know how much money is enough.
That's very I would say it in this way: avoid lazy men.
Yes.
Lazy men. Why is he broke? Why is he in that situation? How is he in that position? Is it a temporary thing? Is it a permanent thing? Does he put himself in that situation? We need to assess it. A broke man today might be a rich man today.
Yeah, obviously. Now the problem is some of the rich men are the ones that are the biggest problems as well.
Major problem.
I've seen ahead of so many weddings of multi-millionaires, and that doesn't last 3 months, doesn't last 6 months, But I've seen people that started together, that they struggle together, and now they are laughing.
I mean that is amazing.
So, but if he's a lazy man and he doesn't have to, please run
away.
A lazy man, a man that does not fear God, please run away. But if the man is hardworking, he's got a dream, he's got a vision, and he hasn't got money right now, please stand by him and help him to achieve his dream.
I think that's very important.
So I hope you've answered the question of that person. So now let me look. Should guys expect their girlfriends to act like wife?
This is something that I've
heard people say, I'm not your wife, you can't talk to me like that, I'm not your wife yet. So when I
think practically some of the things that girlfriends or some women says, the idea of maybe cooking for the man, like, or making sure that there's food for the whole week when you're not even married or you haven't gotten the ring yet. Some people think that is, I don't know. It shouldn't be, in my opinion, that you're boyfriend and girlfriend, and then when you get married, something miraculous has changed. That the whole world has become something different. It should just be it should just flow naturally. It should just be something that, obviously there's differences when you get married, but it shouldn't be all of a sudden you are one person as a girlfriend and you are someone completely different as a wife. But if we're talking practical things like, expecting you to cook for the whole family or everything like that, I don't know.
I don't know if I'll be in trouble for
answering this question.
No, I'm joking. I agree with that. There's no way on Friday evening when you're not married, you're going to be person A, and then you get married Saturday morning and you're someone totally different. It's definitely a gradual process. And I think this ties in actually with being too eager. What we mentioned earlier. If you've just started dating or whatever for the first week, and you're already in the kitchen taking over the mom's pot, she may not be too impressed with you.
Yeah.
But I think as a relationship is built between the guy and the girl, and the rest of the family members as well, I think you can gradually start to you will be welcomed, or you should be welcomed, shall I say. And the more you do, the more you are welcomed, I think the more you can start to do more and more things. I think there are always certain things that you're not going to have 100% of each other until you are married. But I think as well, like it was said before, it's a gradual process.
But it's the same thing with women as well, isn't it? Some women, when they're girlfriends, they expect the man to show that they can look after them.
Yeah,
when they're
exactly.
So things like looking after them completely financially is something that they expect, and the guy is just trying to survive on his own, and then to have that extra burden to buy what's the makeup that the women want as well.
Fenty, or was it Kylie Jenner?
I don't even know, but you know what I mean. Some women are expecting guys to look after them financially, to drive them from A to B to C, just because they're in a relationship.
Yep.
And
it works both ways, isn't it?
It's always moderation, obviously, with these kind of things.
Yeah, what I would say to this is that a caring person is always a caring person.
Yeah.
If you don't care, if you show you don't care.
Yeah.
If a lady does not care about you, she will not care when you get married. She will not care. Before you can call somebody that this person will be my wife, there might be a level of relationship that you have built.
Yes.
So, and you will expect before it gets to the wedding that this person shows that they care.
Yeah.
If you
that's
call somebody that is going to be your wife, and you are complaining that, oh, I'm so tired at work, say, I don't care, come and take me to so you'll be thinking, you might want to do it because you are still you also want to impress.
Yes.
Well, within your mind, people that are looking from outside the box will be pitying you.
Yeah.
You are going to be in big trouble.
Exactly.
If this person doesn't care now.
Yeah.
Same thing with a man. If a man doesn't care about you now, there is no way they will care after the wedding.
I think
it's going to be worse.
I think for a man, if after you've been together for however long you've been together, if before you're getting married, the woman has not made any sort of food for you for all of that time, and I think it's a red flag. Is it, all other colors can we say? black flag. Because it's not. Some people are in this delusion that as soon as you put the ring on it, then I will start showing you what I can do for you as well. Be careful.
A lady that says, you saw me like this before you married me. Before you married
see what I'm saying.
And I was like, ooh. So
it's the true colours.
Yeah. So what you will not take in marriage, sort it out before.
Yeah. And I think also looking at it from the other perspective as well, women are very clever as well, and I think as a gender, women are quite or more emotionally intelligent than men as a gender. I'm not saying that applies to everyone, but I think as a stereotype, if you treat a woman in a nice way or a way that she's valued, you won't even have to ask her to to make you food before. She will want to do it yourself. So from a guy's point of view, I think if you do those things, her making you food won't even be a chore or anything like that. It will be something she would want to do, and that in itself will build a relationship up. And then when you start cooking for him, then maybe he'll want to drive you from A to B to C, and so on and so forth.
Okay, now as the qualities of a good wife change in the last 2-3 generations, have you noticed any changes?
I think there are definitely changes in roles, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
And it may. We also have to look at as well, again, cultural backgrounds as well. Someone perhaps whose parents were born here may have a different mentality to someone whose parents were born in Nigeria, for example. As we know now, there are lots of cultures, for example, in the Nigerian culture, where things are acceptable and certain things aren't acceptable, and there are certain things which are expected of the husband or the wife, the children, etc., which may be totally different to this generation. I think every generation is always going to be different to their predecessors, and if you can, it's especially when you now go from generation and you also go from culture as well. I think that's 2 barriers that you're now overcoming: a generational one and a cultural one. For example, not to take too much time, when you watch older Nigerian films, you hardly ever see the children sitting in the same room as the parents. It's unheard of. The dad comes back, you go to your room. But now you can have banter with your parents and stuff like that, whereas that's totally unacceptable before. And I think that there are certain things that will filter into relationships, husband and wife. So I think stuff like roles now, women in general have more independence. If they're not just stay in the kitchen and give me children. No, they're women have their own personal ambitions, etc. They want to go to work, they want to have their own achievements, and rightly so. So I think there's definitely a change there.
For me, I think it might not be a popular opinion, but a lot of guys wouldn't mind the idea of of the old-fashioned style of they're being able to provide and the woman is being able to look after the house and the children and everything. I think guys deep down that would be ideal, but the realities of things is that it doesn't work out that way for most people. The difficulty is, and this is why I respect a lot of the hard-working women of nowadays. People like the wives that we have, people like the wives that I've seen, the mothers that I know, is that it's so different now from 2 generations ago. Now, to be a good woman, a good wife, you are doing both the job of trying to help financially at home as well as looking after the husband, looking after the children. Not saying that the husbands don't have a role in all these things, but what I'm saying is that financially, nowadays it's not so easy for just the man to be able to provide for the home. So many women are having to work as well to help, and at the same time the good women are also able to still look after children, still try helping with cooking and all these things, but men are also having to change their roles as well to help in these areas as well. So I think it's very difficult, and it's something that women are having to adapt to in this day and age.
I do agree with you. Things are changing. Things are. I never saw my father bath any child. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I saw my husband did it, and I know that your generation will do more than what my husband will do. You can do whatever you want to do in the house with the children. If you are home, you can take them to school. You can help them with the housework. But in the past generation, it doesn't happen. They test a woman. When you come to the house, what you will do in that house, in their own generation, that the wife came, they will watch you from head to toe. Are you not going to help to sweep? Are you not going to get up and go to the kitchen? It might be your first visit in the family house. You cannot sit down. You've got 0 mark there. They will mark you down for not doing that. But now they want to see you. They want to see that you are not too forward. That you can be reserved as well. Not jump into things. They didn't call you. They want to see that happen now. So things are really changing, and it depends on the environment as well, and it depends on the man as well. Because as you said, many men will still want their wife to come from the old school.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if a man refuses for the old generation, the family will accept the way they want to live their life.
Yeah.
Then, oh, why are you the one feeding your baby? You know, some people might just want to put close into your life, and then why are you the one taking that girl to the shopping? You know, why can't she take the bus? People might want to.
Oh gosh.
You have to tell them that this is the generation. I'm happy doing it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not lord over you. A lady might say that you do this, that's where the problem
issue is. Yeah.
A lady could tell you to your face that you have to do the hoovering, you have to do this, and be talking to you as your boss.
Yeah. That's we've talked about. Yeah.
That one will never filter down generation. Nobody will accept that.
Exactly.
So I believe that things are changing, and we just accommodate it and see as it unfold. But the ladies should know what has changed and what are not changing.
Yeah.
Yes. Respect is not changing.
London or Lagos, it doesn't matter.
London, Canada,
Respect is not changing.
It's not changing. Respect your man.
Yeah.
Respect your man. And the generation of respecting other people's husband more than your husband.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That is fading away.
Yeah.
Because we see people respect other people's husband and their own husband they treat like.
No, that's ridiculous.
So I believe that is changing as well. So let's talk about the role of social media in finding a wife.
Oh, I think social media is one of the things that is killing many women that are looking for husbands, to be honest, because there's lack of wisdom that I see so often. I think some women are just destroying their approachability, if that's a word. I don't know. Because some of the things that people are posting on social media are just not attractive to men that are looking for a wife. And things like the way you might dress, the way you might act, the way you might speak, the sort of environment that you're in, the sort of things that you're doing, they're really unattractive to men. And they say, okay, this is what you're doing. They already see you in a certain sort of bracket. At the same time, I don't think people should be lying about who they are on social media. I think you should be honest with who you are, but there should be some wisdom as well. That's one point I would make from there.
Yes, I think women and men, but women, like you said, if approachability is a word, I definitely think people are destroying their approachability, their credibility as well. You can have this one of the most humblest, smartest girl, but what you see on her social media is, provocative dancing and clothes and stuff like that, or every second word is an expletive. It's not. It doesn't attract you. And let's be real. You have to. You will see something before you start getting nearer to it. So even though that person may be a wonderful person at the end of the day, you're already from a distance. You're already put off, and it will just take the grace of God for you to actually end up in a circumstance or situation where you get to know them a bit better. I know a few friends off the top of my head where I've heard negative things about them before I've met them, but I'm quite open, and when I talk to people, I try to not have any preconceptions in my head, and then when I've got to know them, I realize actually they're not that bad.
No, that's true. I mean, just what you
else.
see is not necessarily what the person is, but it's enough to put someone off.
Exactly.
The provocative dancing thing comes to mind, but at the same time, social media as well. In terms of, we're thinking about things like dating applications. Like I know a really a good friend of mine, or a good couple of mine, who met on one of these dating apps, and they're married, and it's all nice and good. But it depends on what you're using the apps for and what you're putting in, because some people are using those apps for something completely different.
Yep.
to what other people are expecting from it. So yeah,
I think what you put into it is what you get out of it. If you put on Instagram or whatever it is, every time you're putting pictures, you're wearing a short skirt and a low cut top, fine. But you've chosen
new school doctor habit.
you've chosen to wear that. So I always say you can choose your actions, you can't choose the consequences. If people that don't find that attractive, which I think a lot of people to a certain degree who are after a woman to marry, I think the general consensus would be, she might be okay to have fun with, but I'm not bringing her home to my mum. I think at the end of the day, you have to start looking at what you're putting out there. For example, if you were writing a CV, you wouldn't put I go to the club and I wear a short skirt. Why would you write that? Because you might be the smartest person or the most or the best person for that job, but you have to put your best foot your best foot forward.
That's key. That's honestly, if you are real, you be attracted to real people.
Yeah.
If you are not real, unreal people, people are just forcing themselves to be who they are not.
Yeah.
And that's the message you want to put out there, that try and be real. Try. There was a story going around, somebody posting that this is their property, this is I just bought this Jeep, I just bought, and there's someone's that kind of unreal life. She's not just the only person doing it. Many people would have done it and get away with it, and maybe think they are getting away with it, and people are looking at them as big girls, this and that, and they're not. So they will only be attracted to fake people like them. So people should just be real. Ladies, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you are looking for, I don't know what you have been putting out about yourself, or things that you don't want the third party to hear. Why are you posting it?
Exactly.
Why are you posting it? And they will label you that this is the way you speak. You go and check the social media status, look at the way she's talking to this kind of people, that kind of people. The people that are genuinely looking for you will not find you.
Yeah.
Because they would have made a conclusion about who
before they've even met you.
Yeah. So please, if you don't know the right thing to do on social media, just stay away from
it. Exactly.
Stay away from it. It's not by force that you have to be there.
Well, once it's on the internet, you don't know who's going to get it.
You can't bring it back.
You can't bring it back. Someone in Southeast Asia can have it within a second. You can't. Nowadays, even employers, they look at your social media profile. What do you put on social media? So it's not even just a husband that you may be missing out. You could be missing out on a promotion. You could be missing out on so many things.
True. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the contribution. This last question, let's just discuss it. How do you know when you find this wife? How do you know that this is the real thing? This is real.
For some people think that the sun and the moon are lying, and they spell their name out for it. Oh gosh, it's a difficult question. I think
you can go first.
How long should you take?
How long should you take?
Okay, for me, I knew straight away after not so long at all. So
love at first sight.
I wouldn't say at first sight, but you just know because of the character that the person has. All those good qualities, they come out straight away. Humility, respect, intelligence, someone who's spiritual, who loves God, who has come from a good home, and
I was going to say that does the family not matter?
I think that's a very big topic.
Very big.
big topic.
And I think it's often overlooked.
Yeah, definitely. The sort of family that you're going to get involved in. One of the things my father-in-law says is marriage is not just between the husband and wife; it's the two families as well that are coming together, and it helps when they do get on. To be honest. I think you should also pray and hopefully God will give you that guidance. But it's not always the sun and the moon that will align, and no one is perfect as well. That's one thing I want to say.
Yes, I think you have to. The first thing, as was just said now, is you have to. For me, definitely you have to pray. That goes without saying. But then you also have to look at certain things which we've touched on before, compatibility and stuff like that. Look at red flags as well. Something that was said earlier, if for example he's just pressuring you into doing things that he wants to do, you have to really make sure that you have your wits about you, that actually is he in this for real, or he's just trying to get some goodies and then go. So I think to to try and answer the question for me in a nutshell, how do you know if someone is the one, prayer, but also two, you have to be wisdom and you have to be wise, and wisdom is the principal thing at the end of the day. If you know, for example, you don't like someone who has very poor hygiene, don't go looking for, don't end up, if you have someone who has poor hygiene, you have to think, for the next 50, 60, 70 years, is this going to annoy me? If the person says, I'm not going to change, I bath once a week and that's all I'm doing, then if you enter having that information, then that's down to you. You can't complain at the end of the day if he only continues to bath once a week. That's a bed you've laid in, and you have to lie.
Don't manage it.
Exactly.
Exactly. It. And when you find out that, okay, these are the things I can manage, then you go for it. But prayer, you pray before it happens at all.
Yes.
That's why I always say, pray before you find anybody.
Yeah.
Pray. You spend prayer ahead of you.
Yeah.
And prayer will draw the right person
exactly
to you. So thank you so much. We've spent our time together. Dr. Abiba and Dr. Kenny. God
thank you so much.
Amen. So much. Yeah. This is Let's Be Real on PLZ Radio 109.2 FM. Please don't forget that you can email us on Let's Be Real at plzfm.com if you have any other topic that you want us to bring on here. We're going to finish the second part of this one soon. God bless you. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Meet Pastor Jummy Opedare, a devout woman of God, wife, mother, and entrepreneur. A God-fearing woman who has devoted her time to ensuring that God's message is used to empower everyone, but most especially women. With a strong belief in the importance of women empowering women and educating each other through our life experiences, she is the founder of Women's Forum, Let's Be Real, a forum for women to work through issues and set and accomplish goals together. Held every second Friday of every month at 6 Elton Road, Lee Green, London. Keep up with Let's Be Real here on PRZ FM every Tuesday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.